you have a unique perspective because you get to see sort of behind the curtain what's happening in the options market. What is that looking like, and how does it compare to what it looked like maybe 2, 3 weeks ago?
Sure. So I'm going to say something that I really hate to say, and it's so cliche, Wall Street. I'm cautiously optimistic about the market. I hate saying that, but it's kind of where I
Yep.
sit right now.
Yep.
On the cautious side, earnings season has been a bit of a mess. I mean, good gravy. There's so many earnings failures.
Right.
Stocks this week that were down 10 or 30% were Datadog and Palantir and Disney and Trip and Duolingo. It's just a mess all over earnings season. And there's not really been a lot of earnings season winners, which is also concerning. The top of my list right now are, stocks like Skechers and Sprouts Farmers Market. So these are not exactly, market leaders that are really exploding on earnings. And also just in the options world, it's been super quiet. There just hasn't been a lot of big call buying, which is, would kind of confirm the market's advance of sorts. So that is the cautious side of things. On the positive side, the optimistic side, the market's rebounded really nicely. It's 2% from all-time highs.
Yep.
Banks and semiconductors, which are two sectors that I really like to see act well. They're performing well. And, there's just the market, the buyers have stepped up into, that 5% market decline. Also, the VIX is at 1280, which is, it's basically saying traders aren't that worried about the market falling dramatically from here. So that's kind of where I'm looking, why I'm cautiously optimistic, even though I hate saying that.
Are you seeing rotation on the options side of things? I mean, just looking at like the equities, it very much feels like a lot of the early winners from like the last 18 months or the last, year plus have been getting punished, like you said, on even earnings beats, but without really strong forward guidance. Are you seeing maybe pockets where that's not the case, or where it seems like there might be some institutional buying sort of rotating into?
Yeah, that's a good question, Brad. If, in my mind's eye before this, I was going to say, talk about the sectors that I'm seeing call buying and that I like the most. And it's kind of along what you said, Brad. The banks are seeing a lot of call buying activity. Citigroup, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, a lot of call buying in the banks as of late. The other sector that I kind of like, which is not really my wheelhouse, but we actually have three positions in. Gold is seeing call buying, the gold stocks, silver plays, copper, Freeport-McMoRan, and SCCO. These are stocks that are really seeing a lot of call buying and are breaking out. Uranium plays. I mean, stuff that I typically don't get involved with. We're seeing a lot of banks and commodity type plays seeing option activity. So that's kind of where our portfolio has been rotating to, even though that's not really my bread and butter historically.
What about utilities? I bring that up like cautiously because that is not a sector that I would ever associate with options trading, but it's been the best performing sector for the last month, and I think for the last 3 months.
Yeah, it's the utilities are an interesting one. Mike Santolo, who's I think going to hop on the call after me, he's been pointing that sector out as one of the best sectors in the market, and how that's not exactly a good sign.
Yeah.
The tough part though is these they're running because it's like third derivative AI plays, because these data centers need so much power that they're running the utilities. So yeah, there is definitely call buying in that group. Now, if I'm not a gold and silver guy, I'm definitely not a utility guy, and that's unfortunately I missed out on this run. But yes, that group looks spectacular.
It's almost like mixed message where, usually when commodities and utilities are in favor, it's in those are safety plays. That's usually in a plummeting market. And yet, you just said the VIX is below 13, banks are in favor, and the market's, 2% off all-time highs. Is this, I mean, do you recall seeing a market similar to this? What do you attribute that to, I guess?
Well, I'm an options trader, so that means my memory goes back about a week or two. So
Right.
that's probably
Okay.
more of a question for Mike. He's probably better on that subject. I will say it's hard to be bearish right now with the market, having a couple good weeks in a row, but I would love to see some growth stocks in gear, and we are just not seeing that now. But I do like the banks. I do like when the semiconductors have bounced really nicely. Taiwan Semiconductor, which is one of the most important semiconductor companies in the world is, within $1 or $2 or something like that of all-time highs. So cautiously optimistic. I hate to say it, but I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm sorry that's not a great answer, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
And
No,
do
that's
you have a trade or two that you like that sort of stands out to you now, whether it's particular stock or sector?
Yeah, I mean, not to keep going back to this, but I like Freeport-McMoRan. The stock is basically at a new high, and Wall Street is, every research report that comes out is saying copper is the next big play because it has it works in a green environment, but it also works in a defense. Copper is needed to make missiles and stuff like that. So that's above my pay grade, but I know that Wall Street is all over it, and Freeport and SCCO are almost at new highs. And like I said, the banks, there's call buying in Citigroup every single day, Wells Fargo every single day. So that's really where if I were to loosely say, sectors, I would say copper and the banks right now.